Well, apparently I can't keep my hand off of the stop button. So here we go again. Number 39, we're going to add the 10p and subtract the 8. So I'm adding the 10p and subtracting the 8 so that this side will be 0. You remember that the first thing we always have to do with factoring is to look for a common factor. Haven't mentioned that in the other problems because there was not a common factor other than 1. But in this one there is. There is a 2 that's common. So I factor that out. Now I'm ready to factor just this part using my grouping strategy. So I multiply the 6 times the negative 4, and I copy the 5, and the numbers that I can multiply to get negative 24 and add to get 5 are a positive 8 and a negative 3. So my 2 is just going to tag along. I copy the 6p squared. Instead of 5p, I replace it with these two. So plus 8p minus 3p, and then I copy the minus 4. From the first two, I can factor out a 2p, and I get 3p plus 4. I copy 3p plus 4 down here so that it matches this one, and ask myself, what do I multiply this by to get these two terms? And I can see that it would be a negative 1. Now what's common is 3p plus 4. And my other factor is 2p minus 1. And I don't want to lose this 2 that I had back up here as my common factor. Now, we agreed that if we're going to multiply numbers together to get 0, one of them has to be 0. Well, clearly, this is not the one that's 0. 2 is 2. It's not 0. So since it does not have a variable with it, we don't have to regard that one as a possibility. So all we need are the 3p plus 4 could be 0, and the 2p minus 1 could be 0. So in this case, I subtract 4 and divide by 3. In this one, I add 1 and divide by 2. So my solution set for this one is negative 4/3 and positive 1/2. All right, next we're looking at number 47, and you notice that this one only has 2 terms. Well, one of the strategies, if there are only 2 terms, is the difference of squares. The square root of this is 4x, and the square root of this is 7. So I do 4x plus 7 and 4x minus 7. Then, just like I've been doing, I set each factor equal to 0. In this case, I need to subtract 7 and then divide by 4. In this case, I need to add 7 and then divide by 4. So my solution set for this one is negative 7/4 and positive 7/4. Sorry. All right, next we're looking at number 53. And I observe that it is not in standard form. That is, one side is not 0. So I'm going to subtract the 7x. Now, this one has 2 terms, but it's not difference of squares. So I got to look for another strategy, and the strategy is that it has a common factor. And if I factor out that x, then that makes it be factored. So then I just set each factor equal to 0. This one's already solved. This one I add 7. So my solution set for this one is 0, 7. All right, at this point, you should be ready to do the homework on MyMathLab from section 5.5. If needed, remember that you can always watch the video that comes with MyMathLab. Just go to chapter 5 and select the video for section 5.5.